Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm playing with this mixed media stencil from Brutus Monroe. It is a stencil staple, so one of their regular staples that you need in your life. This is the X pattern. So as you can see, it's right here. Now I've pulled out some glitter glaze, so I have emerald and scarlet glitter glaze, so red and green. And I also have the Star of Wonder die set. So you guessed it, I'm going to be making a Christmas card. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, can you believe it? I am doing another card. I might be a card maker after all. I am taking my beautiful emerald glitter glaze from Brutus Monroe and putting it through this fabulous stencil. And I am using a silicone brush to do this. This is my latest favorite thing to apply all of my glazes and texture pastes with. I'm going to put that off to the side to let it dry, and in the meantime I'm going to die cut out some dies from the Star of Wonder die set, also from Brutus Monroe. I'm going to cut out the word joy a couple times and then glue them together so that it has a little bit of dimension to it. One paper layer is fine, but a couple paper layers is even better. So I'm going to have two paper layers of the word joy, and then of the background. This is done in white, and then I will go ahead and cut out some starry bits. Now, most of the time, you guys, I don't leave the die cutting in my videos because I kind of think it's a little bit boring, but I have had requests to let it stay in there. So for you guys that are really excited that you're finally getting to see the die cutting done, hooray! For you guys that are like, what in the heck are you doing, Sandy? I'm so sorry. But there it is. So I am going to cut out multiple pieces, and I keep referencing the back of the die sheet. That is the beautiful thing about the Brutus Monroe die sheets. They do give you suggestions and ideas of how to put the dies together. So if you're looking at this die set and you're like, what in the world am I ever supposed to do with all of these little stars and sparkly bits? They got suggestions on the back, guys. They make it super, super easy for you. Now I'm going to use some liquid adhesive to go ahead and put my words and my star together. Like I said, I'm going to double up on the black paper joy, and it's going to give me just a tiny little dimension on top of the background word. Now, the beautiful thing about this is if you didn't want to use the background to have a shadow on your joy word, you don't need to, but I do like the fact that it is there. Now, to even make this a little bit more interesting, I'm going to emboss the black cardstock here. So I'm just taking my Brutus Monroe embossing pad and tapping that right over top of the cardstock, and then I'm going to use this really awesome embossing powder. This is called Pearly Rainbow. So it has a pearlescent effect, and if you turn it in the light just the right way, it does kind of give you that prismy rainbow effect as well. Now, if that's not your jam, you could totally use a clear embossing powder. My favorite one, of course, is from Brutus Monroe. It is the Icicle embossing powder. It is actually the only embossing powder that I bought a huge tub of instead of the normal regular old embossing powder 1 ounce pots. It's my favorite, and it works so well, and it doesn't yellow, and that's important in a clear embossing powder, you guys. If you're using your clear embossing powder to kind of like dress up die cuts or cardstock or anything like that, you're going to want an embossing powder that doesn't yellow, and the Brutus Monroe Icicle one is that embossing powder. Again, I am using that Pearly Rainbow embossing powder to liven up my star over here. I'm using some liquid adhesive to put everything together, and how funny is it that you can see that I actually have bangs now in these videos when I'm leaning forward. Now, some of these bits are a little bit small, but they are perfect in the fact that you can hold them with tweezers and emboss them. Just don't open your tweezers and let them fall on your mat, because the embossing powder is not fully dry and you get it all over your mat. So have to clean that up. So be a little bit more careful than I am. But I'm kind of a maniac when it comes to embossing powder. I think it is ridiculously magical, and you know, sometimes it's more important for me to check out the magical properties of embossing powder than it is to be nice and neat with it. Now, here we go. My glitter glaze has dried with my stencil, so I'm going to shift the stencil ever so slightly, put it down with some washi tape, and then I'm going to add my scarlet embossing powder. And again, I'm using that silicone brush because that is the latest thing that I have found that I really enjoy using through stencils. And I'm going to pop that up and just look at that pattern, you guys. It makes the most ridiculously fun kind of Christmas sweater pattern. That's what it looks like to me, at least. And now I'm going to go ahead and adhere the pieces that I just created on top of the front of that card panel. Now, I do always recommend, if you're gluing anything on top of glitter glaze, to use a liquid adhesive. What that's going to do is get into the nooks and crannies of the glitter, and it's going to stay stuck and nothing is going to fall apart. And that is super important in a card, you guys. It would suck so hard if you sent a card to someone and it fell apart because you weren't using the right type of adhesive. Anyway, that is going to do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys again real soon for another video.